Welcome back to tonight's reading of A Tiger for Malgudi by R.K.Narayan. We stopped here at the top of page 73 and I'll continue from that point now. The circus was a roaring success in the village, and he had full house throughout for every show. The 4-in-1 act and the fiery dive of the trapeze artists were very popular and brought Captain great fame. His box office collections soared, and apart from that, his admirers showered on him cash and presents of all kinds. He had done something original and really creative in the annals of circus, and no one could repeat or imitate his program. The success was entirely due to Captain's genius. Jubilee going on and on, each week bringing him more crowds than ever. Captain looked particularly happy and ordered an extra ration for all the animals every day. He was careful not to overfeed any animals that had, like myself, difficult acts to perform. Keep Raja light and feed him well at the end of his act. Late at night, if he becomes heavy, he won't be fit to run through his acts so smartly. With the result that they hardly fed me until midnight, when all my duty was done. This compulsory fasting the whole day kept me always hungry and made it more and more difficult to accept the milk in goat's company. Thus it went on day after day, week after week, for a very long time. One evening I had just gone through all the turns preceding the milk run, with and without hurdles and through fire, and was sitting before the pan of milk. As a piece of courtesy to a weaker companion, the goat must be allowed to sip the milk first. He now had great confidence in me and took me for granted. Rather a risky thing to do. I sat up watching him, assuming as benign a look as possible, since the slightest frown on my face might bring the whip down on me. Captain being very much as watchful as ever. As the goat bent down and stretched its neck to reach the milk in the pan, I felt a powerful impulse to seize that smooth, white neck held out so temptingly. The agony of self-control was worse than the agony of my raging hunger. The gluttonous goat was lapping up the milk. How lovely it would be to put one's teeth to it and go off to the bamboo bush for a leisurely meal. Forest memories overwhelmed me, while that silly goat was relishing its milk, as if he had never tasted it before. If only he had lifted his head, withdrawn even slightly out of my reach, the world would have heard a different story. As it happened, the temptation stayed too long. Holding myself back seemed impossible. Captain, reading my mind, was more alert than ever. He cracked his whip as a warning and commanded me to share the milk with the goat, while the goat was still at it. But I hated that milk more than ever and was delaying the unpleasant task. Normally, when the captain fixed his look on me, I would be nearly paralyzed and obey. But now, suddenly, he had to look away when he heard a commotion in the auditorium, as someone fell off the top rung of the gallery. I chose this moment to shoot forward and nip off the goat's head. There were shouts and cries and confusion from a section nearby for a minute, and Captain whipped me hard, picked up his chair and hit me with it, and drove me back to my cage. The goat was finished. but of no use to me, wherever, whatever, as it was snatched away out of sight at once, and the place was cleaned and cleared as if nothing unusual had happened. Among the several thousands in the hall, a handful in the front row had noticed the end of the goat, but they were dignified VIPs who would not normally scream even if they noticed a fire or a murder. Before the general spectators in the hall could know what was happening, I was back in my cage. The men had cleared the place very quickly, efficient men behind the curtain drawn all around, and the next item came on without delay, as if nothing had happened. Four of our best clowns, along with the chimp and tuxedo and wearing spectacles, came on the stage with their special charms and jugglery and completely diverted the minds of the audience so that no question was asked as to how the preceding item had ended. Meanwhile, I must say I had become unpopular with Captain. He shunned me for a few days and dropped my acts completely from his announcements, explaining to the audience in one of his speeches, "Ladies and gentlemen, I am sorry to say that Raja's acts have to be suspended for a few days as he has distemper and needs rest and isolation." Rest and isolation means starving for me. They gave me neither food nor water for 3 days on end. Captain's usual method of chastening one's temper. I wished I could have explained that what I had done was due to robust health and hunger, and in no way can be described as distemper. Distemper indeed. If they had left me alone, I could have helped them forget the existence of the goat completely. At least, they should have let me finish off my prize. I had thought I would take it to my cage. What right did he have to starve me? I felt enraged at the thought of Captain and his allies and wished the iron bars could yield. And then I could show them another way to celebrate the Jubilee. The isolation hurt me most. I had got used to the company of that wonderful chimp and all the good fellows gossiping among them ourselves from our confinements or tethered posts. However, the chimp sneaked in beside my cage unobserved when Captain was away on some business in the town and the keepers were relaxing. He said, "What had come over you then?" "I was hungry, that's all," I said. "How can you eat a friend with whom you had been on milk drinking terms, however hungry you might be? Though I am sorry for the poor goat, for he was mild and inoffensive. I am glad to say that it's done us some good. Captain is talking of closing the Jubilee shows and resting for a few days. I was there when he was talking to his wife at breakfast, and she said, 'The first wise act in your life. We are all at breaking point, I am sure.' He didn't dispute her remark as he normally would, but remained moody and gave me a cup of tea to wash down a buttered toast. It was so good. Why can't you also eat things so much better than your normal preferences? You'll be a good fellow if you learn to eat things that don't move or breathe, and then people will not blame you. You accept, will not blame you, but accept you in society and have you around without these iron bars. Then you will be popular, not feared. If you are hungry, I can bring you a banana and some nuts sometimes. Many visitors bring me a lot, and I can't eat all of them." Listening to him made me feel worse. I said, don't talk about food unless you can get me what I can eat. It is no use talking about it. Your talk makes my hunger worse." And the chimp went away with a leer. I was in no mood for jokes. I suffered hunger another day. When I was lying half dead, Captain came up, peered in through the bars, and said to his companion, "Take a look at him now. Not at his best. He's under treatment for his misconduct. I hope he has learnt a lesson." Put up another goat before him and see what he can do. That was a magnificent shot I took in 16 millimeter. That was I was lucky to be there in time to take it. I don't think you could ever repeat it. One in a million situation. As I watched, he was so quick, no one could have noticed his action. He said, shot up like a cobra's, and he just pecked at that goat. But it, but it was like a, it was a snap action, neat, precise, like a, like a surgeon's. That man so full of enthusiasm and praise for me that sorry, that he became incoherent and could hardly complete a sentence. Captain said, so what? You don't seem to appreciate it. It would be an impossible, unbelievably perfect shot. The kind of thing that a film director would be would be dreaming about. I shall treasure the shot I have taken and use it somewhere. And if it gets an award in any international film show, don't be surprised. Oh, Raja is my tiger and I want a royalty for a show by him. The other laughed as if he had heard a humorous statement and then said, Captain, ever since I saw Raja's surgical perform, sorry, I am having a little disturbance in my throat. Put up another goat before him and see what he can do. That was a magnificent shot I took in 16 millimeter. I was lucky to be there in time to take it. I don't think you could ever repeat it. One in a million situation. As I watched, he was so quick, no one could have noticed his action. His head shot up like a cobra's, and he just pecked at that goat. But it was it was a snap action, neat, precise, like a surgeon's. That man was so full of enthusiasm and praise for me that he became incoherent and could hardly complete a sentence. Captain said, so what? You don't seem to appreciate it. It would be an impossible, unbelievable, perfect shot. A kind of thing that a film director would be dreaming about for a lifetime. I shall treasure that shot I've taken and use it somewhere. And if it gets an award in any international film show, don't be surprised. But Raja is my tiger, and I want any royalty for any show by him. The other laughed at me as if he had heard a humorous statement, and then said, Captain, ever since I saw Raja's surgical performance on the goat, I have been thinking of a story in which I could put him to proper use. I have to think it over, said Captain. I can't give an instant yes or no. I want 2 days. But I can't force you to give me a reply. Think it over and understand that I can give you a handsome offer. But don't starve him further. Feed him. He is magnificent. Don't spoil him. You have no idea how he will look in color. He took another long look at me and said, Raja the Great, I am sure you will cooperate with us. Both of them went away. I heard the tinkling of the bucket handle and stood expectantly. My food was come. An attendant placed meat and water in the other half of the cage, locked it, and pulled open the partition. I gave a roar of pleasure and attained a feeling of well-being very soon. I was able to pace up and down the entire length of the cage in a happy state of mind. Captain spoke to his wife about the filmmaker that night. After the Jubilee, he was going through a period of rest for 2 weeks before starting preparations to move on to Trichy, the next camp. This was just the time when Captain could enjoy a little domestic felicity, go to bed early, and find time to talk to his wife. When he mentioned the film proposal, she asked, "What exactly is Raja expected to do?" "I'll know it soon, but I must know first of all whether we should consider the proposal at all." "I'll say nothing until I know what you are going to say," says the wife. "Why?" "So that I may save you the trouble of contradicting me." They were in a pleasant mood of banter without acrimony or any relevance. She asked, "Can they handle Raja?" "They can't. The idea seems to be that they will tell me what they want and I'll get Raja to do it." She remained in deep thought for a while and said, "I don't know. I've always hated that brute. Seems undependable. I feel uneasy whenever you are out with him." Captain laughed at her fears. "Let me say he is more docile than a Siamese cat. However, I am not asking for a testimonial, but whether we should consider the film proposal at all." "Yes, if you'll buy this little cat off your hands, yes." "Nothing of the kind, my dear. I won't part with him as long as I run a circus. I'm looking for another goat to train. Until then, Raja can be used elsewhere." "Another poor goat to be made into a ghost," was all that she could say. Shocking it was. I realized that if you relax even for a split second, then God knows what he'll do. The way he glares, I feel more easy with your lions. They are noble and gentle. I don't know why you should not be satisfied with their work and want to bother about this tiger or any tiger. Given a chance, the lion can also bifurcate a goat. Don't take too harsh a view of Raja on it. He didn't do it out of malevolence, but a sudden impulse of mischief. That's the way of life in that jungle society. What an explanation, she said. I don't know if you'll ever listen to me. All the same, I do nothing but listen. Anyway, the main question is whether Raja should be lent for a film at all. However, there is time to think over instead of idling his time. The filmmaker, whose visiting card embossed on a thin sandalwood strip that filled the captain's office with fragrance, said, "Madhusudan, cine director and producer." He came in as promised on the third day. Captain said, "The scent of your visiting card heralds your arrival, even before you appear." "That's my intention, Captain G. If you keep it in your table drawer, we will not